Hey you guys, what's up? I'm Christian, that's Corey, and we are SuperKamiGuru9000, and this is our review of Naruto 624. How would you describe this, Corey? What'd you say? It was a repetitive chapter?
It was definitely a repetitive chapter. It seems like almost every other page was sort of giving us the same exact message, while at the same time giving us some different art to sort of trick us a little bit. That's not to say this chapter wasn't completely awful, it just sort of kept repeating itself over and over and over. And even if you were to skip this chapter entirely, never even read it and continue to watch or even read this series, you really wouldn't be left in the dark. So,
except the Madara getting his, Sharingan awakening because he threw away his friendship with the first Hokage. That is the only real piece of, I don't want to say evidence because it doesn't really lead to anything, but the real thing that we would have learned if you wouldn't have ever read this chapter. But besides that, we knew everything. We knew Madara respected the first Hokage. It's because Madara kept getting his ass royally kicked by him every time. We didn't even get the fight. It was pretty much like, powering up, and then, defeated in the next panel. It was just like, and it kept happening again and again and again. And it was a good chapter, but, I do feel for Corey when he says you wouldn't miss anything if you never read this one.
Now, like you said, there were some minor details. The whole thing with Tobirama actually attacking Izuna Uchiha towards the end of the chapter. Before we've always known that he was like mortally wounded, and then he lost his eyes, apparently giving them to his brother, and he apparently died on the battlefield blind. At least that's what we sort of been told. However, in this chapter, it looks like that those wounds did come from Tobirama, and I'm not quite clear if it's actually him who caused him to die right there, or if it was those wounds that led to him being killed. That's still kind of in the dark there, but that's still kind of important. The thing with Madara and his eyes getting them for the very first time is important. But really, the chapter just breaks down at the beginning. Tobirama and the other Uchiha are fighting and everything, and the brothers are watching this, and they throw some dollar store symbolism at us by throwing the rocks at each other, which has the runaway, it's a trap thing, and then they float down into the river, giving us some more friggin' symbolism. Followed by another scene which leads to leaves floating in the air, which is more symbolism to show us that the Konoha village is coming. I like symbolism. I think it can work sometimes. I think it can really get some symbolic things across. However, when you throw it at us every friggin'
panel
and every other panel, it starts to lose its meaning a little bit, and it starts to lose its impact. And that's not to say it's bad. It's just kind of cheap at sometimes. But still, what we can take away from this chapter is that Madara has Vegeta syndrome. He's
heavily
way too much into himself. He has way too much pride, and he just will not let that go. And that's the reason why the Senju and the Uchiha have been fighting for so long. Even though the Uchiha keep losing, they keep fighting because Madara's like, we're the Uchiha, we're the best, we should be number one. And they each just keep getting killed, almost to the point where you can actually see the Uchiha are trying to leave their clan and actually join the Senjus all together. And they're starting to be like, you know what, I think Madara is fucking crazy.
and that's when he steals it, or I shouldn't say steal, but that's when he takes his brother's eyes. It's almost like Madara was starting to get it, and then his brother's like, no, dude, we gotta fucking stay evil. And he's like, oh yeah, and then they throw down, the puff of smoke, ninja disappear, and then Madara comes back with the eternal Mangekyo Sharingan, and it's kind of like, damn, man, you don't even care about your clan. You just care about fucking avenging your brothers, and you're kind of on this weird, vendetta syndrome, and you need to get over that and just chill with the first Hokage. But it does seem like we haven't got the whole story yet. This is something me and you actually haven't discussed yet, Corey, but it just came to me. It seems like we haven't got the whole story, because there is at one point where they sign a peace treaty, so that is something that's probably going to be the last part of these flashbacks.
Konoha is formed. The village did exist at some point. There is going to be something that's going to show when Madara's like, alright, I'm willing to let this go at some point. And I do just want to bring up again, I did think it was funny when you brought up the fact that Madara's like, super powerful in one panel, he summons his Susanoo, and then the very next panel, he's on the ground, with a pant bubble above his head. And I just thought that was really, really funny. But yeah, I really wish Madara would just get it through his fucking head, let his pride go, and it's stupid how at the end of the chapter, he's like, alright, here's how we can be even. You either have to A, kill yourself, or B, kill your brother. Then we cool, dog.
Then we cool. Because it's not about the village, and it's not about his clan. It's about Madara and his brother and weird vendettas. That's the truth.
This weird Romeo and Juliet ninja war story. I don't know. I want it to move a little bit more, and there are still some things we need to learn a little bit. What I'm wondering is how Sasuke is going to take to this story. I don't know if he's going to be fully convinced here. It's basically the same thing he's always been told, which is don't repeat the stuff of the past. And hopefully it'll sink in here, but I think it's interesting. I'd love to see Sasuke's reaction to this entire story as it's being told to him. But I'm sure we'll get to see a little bit of that later.
Yeah, so I hope you got something from this review, guys, because we really just kind of ranted at you for a little while there, and we didn't really describe everything that happened. But just because we didn't summarize everything doesn't mean we didn't give you like 1,000 opinions right there.
And this wasn't a horrible chapter. There was still a lot of really cool artwork, and there was a lot of ninja action, if you like seeing the Uchiha getting their ass handed to them, of course. Like, there were a lot of cool scenes, like we mentioned the Susanoo. There was a moment where they were like, using the wood style and the fire and everything. It's pretty cool stuff, and it's definitely just illustrating again that the old ninja world is definitely a violent one.
And more of the same, though, at the same time. Yeah. We've already seen all those things, you know. Anyway, it was a good chapter. Corey, out loud, what do you think, score-wise?
It wasn't perfect, but it still had some pretty decent artwork, and it still had some pretty cool stuff. So I'm going to give it a 7.
A 7? I did like this chapter a little more than a 7, so I'm going to give it an 8. But that's just me. That's just me. And, yeah, so that's what we thought of this week's chapter, you guys. Naruto 624. It was an interesting read, if you're into it. If you're into more of the same, if you're into Madara getting his ass kicked, which actually I'm sure some people are down to see, you know, you'll probably enjoy this chapter. So if you guys enjoy these videos, make sure to give us a big thumbs up. We always appreciate it. It helps our videos rank higher. There are many reviewers out there, and it's a great way to show which ones you like, and it helps us out.
A thumbs up. It must mean something. It's like symbolism.
Fucking leaves falling and shit. Stones dropping, water droplets. Who knows?
Cut to black, water droplet.
Maybe I can insert that right there or something. I can find some stock footage of that. Okay, you guys. Well, until next time, SuperKamiGuru9000, out. And then we can just have a water droplet.
They do that in anime so much, man. They do. They do it all the time.